All right, we are officially started here for the Co-Creating Miracles with the Archangels class. This is one of my favorite topics, I know. So let me know in the comments if you are new to me or if you've been with me for a while. But I always know that every time I teach this, new things come through to share. And I know for me personally, working with the Archangels on my when I first had my spiritual awakening, the archangels were really the first spirit guides that came through to me, and they really hold a dear place in my heart and continue to help me all the time in my life and in my business. So let me go ahead and pull up my notes so we can stay on track for today. And I'm going to be sharing basically 3 essential keys so that you can manifest more quickly and easily. So I know cultivating this relationship with my spirit team has definitely been so empowering, not only for myself, but for hundreds of my students, probably thousands at this point, definitely for sure, but not on this exact topic always, but definitely it's like learning to work with your angelic support team or angelic advisors, I like to say, can help you because they get us out of our head. They get us out of our limited human perspective. And as our higher selves, we always do have access to all the information as well. But as human beings, sometimes we're in our mental body, we have our emotional body, we have fears, we have doubts, we have other things that sometimes keep us more limited from being able to access our intuition, especially sometimes when we need it most. So let me know if you're excited to learn how to manifest with your angels with more ease. For me, I know there was 3 main problems that first I think I came up against when I first started working with my spiritual support team and my archangels, which was just again shortly after my initial awakening. I started recognizing the numbers, the angel feathers, the signs and synchronicities, which was super exciting. But as I started to want to work with them more, like get more information, I felt like I was working with like learning a foreign language or something, right? Like I was aware of their presence. I saw the angel numbers. I saw the feathers or the coins or the rainbows, which I still see and love to this day, right? It's a great validation. But it's like when I wanted to get like clarity, I felt like my signs were very vague. So put 1 in the comment if you have ever had that, right? Where you're like, okay, that's great. I love knowing that you're here. It's amazing. It's magical, but I would like to have some clarity and direction. I would like to be able to decipher these messages, right? I would like to know like what steps to take. And I know that that was a big problem initially because it wasn't really helping me know what steps or actions I needed to take. It was just like, I know you're here. And then it was almost more frustrating. So I'm like, I know you're here, but I don't know what to do, right? Can you help me more fully? So let me know if you've ever had that feeling or if that's something that you also have been wanting. Yes, or seems like silence. Absolutely. And in reality, it's our own fears that gets in the way. But again, we're human beings, so we're going to hit different levels of fear and doubt, right? So the next thing that I remember coming up against early on was I would sometimes then get the messages clearly, but even if I got the message, I would often have trouble trusting it, right? So then I wouldn't really take the action that was suggested. Um, and so then my life didn't really change, right? Like things didn't change quickly. So let me know, number 2, have you ever done that? Have you ever gotten, okay, now I'm feeling this nudge and this guidance. I'm feeling like, like I'm supposed to be taking this step, but then I don't know because how will it work or what should I do or how can I trust, right? We still try to logic it away. A lot of times we just don't simply trust the process because a lot of times the information and the guidance steps that we'll get that's going to fast track or shortcut like our manifestation or our success on any level, right? Health, wealth, purpose work, whatever, any of it, anything we might want to ask. It's not usually logical. And it's often going to push us out of our comfort zone or have to take a leap of faith in some way. Right? Yes, 1 or 2. Oh, yes, exactly. Right? Self-sabotaging and imposter syndrome, working hard to release all the doubts. Absolutely. And it's a process, right? It's definitely a process. And I'll give you some suggestions today as well. But just to kind of air out like the issues, right? The third one was I didn't have anybody in my life to talk to. Now, I'm so grateful that all of you are in my groups here. I know a lot of you have now surrounded you in community, but you can remember, or maybe some of you are newer, right? It's like when I first had this awakening, for about 9 months, it was like nobody in my world really understood these things. I was raised in a very conservative religious upbringing. They didn't, understand or talk about these things. And so I remember just feeling like I didn't have a lot of people to talk to about these things. And so what would happen is that this excitement of like talking with my angels was there, right? But then but because I didn't have other people who believed or understood what I was going through, right? Or even still, some of you could be in groups or communities, which is great, but shy and not like sharing or having somebody like in your world to actually communicate with it about, right? And so what can happen is I would just get more and more into my head. I'd get more and more second guessing, like, well, is this true or is this not true? It's like a whole nother level of fear would crop up, right? It's like I would definitely get to where I would start to confuse, like, what was my thinking? What was my message? And is this even reality? And do I, asking for another sign again? Like I would just kind of, again, spin in that fear on another level. So I think sometimes, when we don't have people or community, it can feel like we're making it up even more, right? I recently connected with a spiritual group of women. So grateful. Absolutely. That's awesome, Debbie. Right. And I love that all of you I know are at least finding some community. Being here with me today tells me that you've been finding some level of community, but this is really an important aspect of your spiritual path, not just co-creating with the archangels in this experience, but what I'm speaking to in general, because we are kind of now awakened to a completely different level of magic than a lot of the world, a good percentage of the world really even is aware of at this time yet, right? And so sometimes it can be very much discounted, and we can start to feel alone, and we can start to then shut it off because we feel different or misunderstood or crazy or whatever people might be saying, right, to us. And so it's really, really important to stay connected into some community. Doesn't mean everybody in your life has to get it and you can't be friends with them or love them and have a great relationship, but it's like you want to have at least some kind of community outlet. I find that really changes everything. Yay, we attuned your son to Reiki on Sunday. That's 11-year-old son. I love it. That's amazing. So amazing, right? What a different world we're going to have with these younger generations. The more of us awaken and keep helping the children keep their spiritual gifts open, and the more that we're doing our work, it really impacts future generations. Whether you have your own children or not, it's impacting future generations in a big way. So definitely, definitely amazing. So those are some things that would get me stumped up, right? So and this is just normal, right? Don't doubt, don't blame yourself. The bigger that we ask for something, usually the more levels of fear that come up, right? And we're going to be going through this. Part of being human being is kind of learning to move through these lifetimes, really, not just this lifetime, but lifetimes of programming and experiences that have conditioned us to fear and doubt our spiritual guidance, right? And our intuitive knowing without even knowing it. And this is where we start to block the information from our guides, or then not trusted enough to take the action. So really, if you're, especially, some of you might be new and some of you might be doing this a while, and sometimes we just forget to ask, the first step, no matter what, whether you're new or been here a while, right? You just got to ask. We got to ask and get clear about what we're asking for and really invite their presence in your life, because otherwise it would be like the codependency, right? Like they're always waiting in the wings, waiting. They're telling us, right? But it's not like a one and done. The more that we are consistently connected to, hey, I would love your support or help, or hey, can you please give me clarity on this? Or hey, asking for clarity and for support in real time is when you're going to start to have that conscious present connection and get out of your head. So asking is really important. And sometimes, I've had people say as well, like in my beginning of my spiritual journey, I was getting signs and messages and synchronicities all the time. And then now I'm not. It's like they're not there anymore. Like they left me. It's like they've never left you. I promise that. But sometimes we forget asking, right? In the beginning, we're so excited that we're focusing in what you see, what you acknowledge, what you experience, creates more of it, right? So sometimes it's just a matter of actually asking and inviting them in, which sometimes also when we're flustered or in fear or doubt, we can be in our head and we'll forget to do that. Or the fear and the doubt is just so darn loud, right? It's louder because our angels are going to speak in a much more subtle, their energy is more subtle. And so until you really learn to attune yourself to their vibration and their frequency and make the space to not only ask, but then listen, right? Be open to hearing and kind of recognizing the way in which your angels are communicating with you, right? Through your intuition, through your way you see, feel, hear, know, epiphanies, ideas, dreams. I mean, there's any number of ways that they're going to guide you, but we have to first ask, And then we have to be present enough to receive it, right? Because when we're in our mind, that is like the volume up really loud. Fear is louder than love on a vibrational level. Love is stronger and more powerful. But when we have that fear, our nervous system and our mental body and everything gets so triggered that we're often not actually open to hearing it. So creating a, meditation is a huge key to really being able to connect with your angels and guides for sure. When it comes to but then the next important thing about this is once we do get the messages, which I feel like a lot of you said, yes, I get the message, but I don't trust. You have to start to surrender the how, right? Part of it is letting go of the how, micromanaging things, needing to know the whole plan. Like it'd be great, right? I want to do my purpose work. Okay, great. They're going to give you 1 or 2 steps at a time. But we're like, no, I want a full plan. I want to know the whole thing before I switch my job, right? And they're like, well, 1 or 2 steps at a time. You got to trust, right? And that's kind of a bigger one, but I know a lot of you are probably in that space. So where you really have to surrender and trust, but just start with the day to day. Like I still always am like working with them on the day to day little things. And especially if you're newer or you have been feeling a little disconnected from your angels and guides, then you want to take the moment to start to ask in the mornings, ask them to guide you. It would be like a codependent enabling block if we didn't actually invite them in, right? Because we are here to learn, evolve, and grow as human beings. We don't have to stay stuck in suffering. That's our choice by our resistance and our fears and not listening and numbing and all the things that we might do to prolong something. But it does require cultivating faith and trust, right? And we do that in the little steps day to day. And there's no harm, no foul in that way. If you are asking, like I'll ask. So some people say is like, I don't want to take away from something big, or I want to save it up for like when I really need it. It's like, no, they're there 24/7 and they are not limited by time, space, reality like we are, right? So Archangel Michael could help me at any given moment while he's also helping somebody else or, a million other people at any given time, right? There's not really a limit on their capabilities to bilocate and kind of be able to be individually having experiences with different people. So don't ever feel like you're bothering them or that it's too little. Their core thing is archangels in particular is here to help create more peace for humans, for humanity, to guide us, right? They're here to guide us. So work with them. When you ask in the small times, then you're going to start to learn and recognize how to work with them more clearly, right? And this is really where it gets really, really kind of fun. Because when you start to work with your angels and guides in this way, you start to build that co-creative experience and language. And pretty soon you're just constantly working with them and you don't even realize it. You just know that you're in flow, you're in synchronicity, miracles are happening. People will be like, gosh, why are you so lucky? You're like, well, I'm not lucky. I'm just co-creating with my archangels, right? And so just remembering to ask is a huge thing. And then just starting to let go of the how and start to take the 1 or 2 steps. And most of the time, it's in my experience, it's just 1 or 2 steps at a time that you're going to get. And you really won't get the next steps until you start to lean forward into those actions. And the other thing is sometimes we want to second guess, like, well, what does this even have to do with that? As an example, I wanted to align more clear with my purpose work and I wanted my clairvoyance to open up, right? This was earlier when I first started working with the archangels. And at that time, I had working with them enough to recognize Archangel Raphael's energy field, right? Because they all have a unique frequency of energy, each archangel, right? Which is really, really fun because as you start to hone your discernment into each different archangel, they all have a different healing resonance just in calling their name, right? You're just going to bring that presence and that resonance to help buoy and kind of work that energy, use that energy to help find your equilibrium, your alignment, your balance, your healing in that moment before you've even recognized what the messages they're giving you, right? Their energy heals. And they carry a different frequency because they have like their different specialty, if you will, right? Within their frequency. So I recognized Archangel Raphael and he's like, we got to go on to Barnes and Noble. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got 5 minutes. Make it fast. You got to hurry. I'm on a time schedule because I don't always understand time. And so I'm like, all right, we got to do it quick. So guide me straight to the book and show me. And I opened it up and it's like, I'd been asking for a long time about how to open my clairvoyance and I wanted to align with my purpose. And yet simultaneously, I was getting messages about eating more organic food and less chemicals and, all these things over here. And then when he guided me to the book, I opened up to the page like an oracle. I just like, what page? Dropped open, page 55, I think. And it talked about how highly sensitive people can often be sensitive to chemicals, and organic, healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables can really open up things. And pineapple's great for clairvoyance. Like, it was everything I'd been asking, but I had been hearing that message for a few months to eat more healthy fruits and vegetables and more organic food. And I wasn't really taking the action all the way because I was just saying, well, what about the money? Or if it's there, I know I should, but if it's not, they don't have in season what I want, then I'm just going to get whatever. Like, I was making compromises or excuses at times, not having a clue how that was related. He's like, there you go. Finally, I've been trying to tell you and guide you, but you weren't doing it. You're just kind of like, me, like, no, but what's my purpose? Like, well, I'm trying to help you open your intuition more clear so that you can actually receive the more information about your purpose and open up your clairvoyance like you're asking, but you weren't doing it. Right. So it was kind of like, that was an important, thing for me to understand, that a lot of times the next steps are just not going to be like as clear and blueprinted out like we would like it to be. It's going to be smaller, clear, more concise, 1, 2, 3 things at a time. Oftentimes about making adjustments to our diet and to our meditation routines and things like this, because that's where we can actually kind of come in and tune in and make space really for the downloads. And then sometimes we have to take an action of like, that might be out of our comfort zone, like the fear, right? This is what I'm saying. And if you're doing this you're seeing pineapple everywhere. I love it. And if you're doing this on a regular basis, right, you're just going to tune yourself into that alignment, and you're going to be in flow. You're going to have the ideas. You're going to see the book, the teacher, the opportunity, and you're going to take action on it because you recognize this is the guidance that you're being told. 222. Love it. I love seeing the numbers, right? It's always great validation, but sometimes we want to know the bigger things. They're like saying, okay, well, quiet your mind and meditate and open up and ask and again, and then hear it, right? And then don't allow your fear to be louder than it. And then we still have to follow through with taking the action. Most of you probably heard my story where I talked about making the big financial investment to learn my speaking and learn speaking so I could come do teaching like I felt called to do, but I was petrified about. And I was like, oh my gosh, $22,000 to learn my biggest fear. Like, oh, it's freaking out, right? I could have easily delayed everything and potentially just not even done it this lifetime, come back another round to do it again. Except for I was highly committed to not doing that, right? But easily I could have just said, no, I don't have the money, because I didn't. But I knew better. I knew if I just took the step, it would come, and it did, right? And so sometimes we have to take those leaps of faith, but we're only going to cultivate big leaps of faith like that when we have built that muscle in the day-to-day small things. And when you do that in the day-to-day small things, you start to see your world change. You start to see that what you thought was being guided for you to do was real, because it manifests itself. You'll start to see the fruits of the actions that you take, but you have to start to follow it in order for you to cultivate that faith and trust, because if you don't take the action, you'll never know, right? Like, there's been times too, and don't be afraid of getting it wrong, right? Like, quote unquote wrong. But like, there's been times where I've often asked them when I'm driving, yeah, show me the quickest way to get somewhere. I'm running late. I want to get to this appointment on time. That means I have to hit it all right. So green lights and smooth way getting there. And then I promptly got in my car and forgot, because I was in my head, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. Right now I'm loud. I'm over. I just asked, literally. And then I got in my head, oh shoot, I don't want to be late. Traffic. Right. And I had this vision of like going a weird backwards way. And I poo-pooed it. Like, this is a good sign. When do we accidentally, maybe consciously or unconsciously, argue with our guidance or our angels, right? I was like, why would I go that way? I didn't actually even recognize in that moment that it was the angels. I just had this idea, right? This vision of going this back route. And I was like, why would I do that? It's much more direct. And then I went there and all the streetlights were out the direct way, which made me late, which if I would have listened, which I just asked for the guidance and suddenly forgot, I would have taken the back route and made it on time. But then what happened? Great. I was late. I felt bad about it, right? Guilt. You had to clear guilt. But really what happened? Bad, nothing, right? I learned, though. I'm much more cognizant to be aware of if something's coming through that I wouldn't normally think, maybe I need to investigate who and where that's coming from and why, right? That's how the intuition speaks. That's how our angels speak, right? Through our intuition. So it's important to recognize that when we hone that, you then start to recognize and tune to their frequencies much more clearly. And what's really, really fun is they're funny too. They have such a great sense of humor. They all have different vibrations, different energy, different personalities, right? And so when you really start to tune into who to call in, you start to recognize their energies much more easily amongst the chaos, right? So when you start to attune yourself to the different frequencies of your archangels, they can pull you out of an unconscious stupor of being in your head. Hey, hand that over, get back in line, or you can hear the answers through the fear. So this is all just a practice of building that muscle, building the discernment, and recognizing them, recognizing their energy. That's really the biggest thing, because as soon as you start to recognize their energy, you're now conscious, present, and aligned again. Just to even have recognized their energy, you have to be brought back into alignment, because their energy is helping you create that shift. And then from there, you have the opportunity to then ask, okay, what can I do? Can I hand over the worry? Okay, what step can I take? Right in that moment. And so that is really where you get to make some big changes. Another time I had a real tech stuff is always seems to be the way my stuff manages itself, like outwardly. But it was my very first series, like my very first this was I think in 2018, and I had just done like a webinar series for the first time. And I was nervous and I had all my notes, everything. So I was already kind of nervous about it. But I had like 400 people signed up. I was super excited. And I had made this whole program I was going to be sharing. I was just so excited about it. And then suddenly I got on there, and Facebook, because I was welcoming people, they said I was spamming because I was doing too many comments too fast. And they put me in Facebook jail, and I couldn't use my Facebook to go live. And I was starting this big event, like literally in 15 minutes. And I was like, what in the heck am I going to do? I was panicked, right? I could have stayed panicked, and that could have just happened very easily. But instead, I did what I do. I asked, what step can I take? And they're like, go outside and shake it off. Turn on some music and dance. I could have argued, I've got time to dance. Are you crazy? I got to go live in 15 minutes. It's like, nope, but I didn't, because I knew better. I'm like, you're right. I've got nervous energy. I got to shake this out. So I went and I literally put Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. And I did it. I'm like, okay, now what? I've got 8 minutes, and they're like, mention to your team member. And my team member at the time was an admin on my business page. And I'm like, oh, and so I reached out to her, and we had the idea that she let me use her Zoom login, and I just logged in as her Facebook, or my Zoom, but her Facebook account, and put myself as my admin. So it showed as my business page, and I was able to go live, right? But normally, had I not done, I would have never thought of that, right? And I probably wouldn't have heard what to do if I was just freaking out, right? So, or saying I didn't have time to go do a dance song, which I felt like I didn't, but I knew I needed to move the energy, right? And so does that make sense? It's the little things. Angel parking, absolutely. That's a great way. I do that all the time, right? Because you're trusting, you're feeling, which way do I go? Which way do I turn? Like the small things is really where you're going to build the resilience and the recognition, and working with them regularly, right? That's going to help you so much. So let me know if this was helpful so far. I love this story. Yes, thank you. I've been feeling like that I need to eat better for the past few months. Yeah, I mean, who knew that was what's guiding me to my purpose, so I could access my intuition more, so I could, I mean, it's these little things, and they're often just 1 or 2 steps at a time, right? So ask. Move through your fear. Don't argue about it. Take the action if you do get it. Trust yourself. Play with it in the day-to-day, so you build up that trust and recognition. And that will go a really, really long ways. So let's see here. One question I got too. Let's see. Do you call in certain angels, or is it whichever angel wants to work with you? It's a great question. It's both, really. I mean, ultimately, when you are asking for support and you're opening up, and say you haven't really worked with your archangels a lot yet, you don't really know who they are specifically or whatever, you're having a question or you're having a request, your angels are there through your request and opening to having some support and guidance with you, right? So proactively, you are kind of bringing in the best angel for the job, if you will, right? Or we all have guardian angels, right? So you're calling in the best angel because you're saying, like, as an example with the Raphael, right? He's a healing angel, right? And so, and I know there's another time where I had a car accident and I was needing to heal my body. And so I knew, oh, well, Archangel Raphael, thank you. Can you please help me go and know, how to heal my body? What vitamins and supplements do I need to help this broken bone? Like, what energy healing can you help me with? What can I do? Right. And I kind of worked with him as my health guide coach, right? My spiritual health coach, or for healing, right? But each archangel emits a different type of frequency. Like Archangel Shamuel has this beautiful energy of peace. So if I'm frazzled or I've lost something, I'm like, Archangel Shamuel, he's so great to like help you find, right? I can't tell you how often my daughter and I both use Archangel Shamuel. Like, even if you misplace keys, he's a great finding angel. Way more than that, obviously. But it's a great way to do it because, like, all of a sudden, if I can get present to ask, where is it at? And then I'll get the vision or idea, then it's like almost immediate because I do it so often. And my daughter's hilarious. She's like, Archangel Samuel's the man. Because she's always kind of running a little bit on, like, in a hurry kind of a thing. So misplacing stuff. And so it's really just recognition. And then what's great is you build up that discernment of not only which archangel you're working with, right? But also, what's your energy versus other people's energy? Like, your whole discernment around energy starts to shift. But to go back to the question, hold on, I didn't want to get sidetracked from the question too far. So basically, when you ask, it's like the best angel for the job's going to come, right? With their specialty and their energy and their frequency. That's what's going to happen. So you can't really get it wrong. And then the opposite is, the other question is, do you call in, or is it which one works with you? You can also choose, like, you can choose who you want to work with, like I just examined, or you can just trust. Like, if you're wanting to, like, you're saying, hey, I want help with aligning with my purpose. Well, a specific archangel that's actually best suited to help you, perhaps, or already kind of contracted or has an agreement with you to help you align with your purpose, could come in, which could be different for each person, right? Archangel Gabriel oftentimes works, or Metatron and Gabriel both work kind of like with sensitive children. Different archangels for different jobs. If you are a health nutritionist, you might want to have Archangel Raphael on your team, right? So it's really good to know which archangel has which energy. So you can ask to work with them because you just want to get to know them or work with them for their specialty or for what thing you're working on. And I think when you ask, you're going to start to bring in what's highest and best for you. So it's just going to be a practice of discernment, but it's really, really fun it's really when you get to cultivate recognition of them is amazing, because then first of all, you never feel alone because you've always got friends who are funny, right? They're funny and they're healing and they're supportive. And they never judge you, right? They're never going to judge you. And then you start to recognize them through your day-to-day when you're unconscious. And the more that you're aligned and grounded and embodied with your higher self, the more aware that you are throughout your day, the more faster things are going to manifest to you, right? As opposed to just having that alignment in the morning meditation. You want to carry that alignment all day. And if you do, then you'll start to notice that you're just much more in sync with life and things just flow much more easily. So I hope this has been helpful. Let's see, just kind of checking back in if I've missed any other questions. Ask Shemuel. We freak out and I ask where this is, and he shows me in a snapshot. I know, it blows your kid's mind. I love it. Yes, and then it starts to build their faith as well. I've noticed in my experience that the universe gives me the answer I need at the time, but not necessarily the final correct answer. However, it's the one I need to get to the next step, and then another answer. And it's like they tricked me before my highest good. Have you ever went and experienced this? I hope it makes sense. Yeah, no, it makes sense. And actually, I wouldn't say they're tricking you. I know what you mean. I know that you have good humor about it, but really it's about, we have free will of choice as well, right? So there is a lot. They're not going to, they don't want us to, or won't allow us really to abdicate responsibility to them. Also, that's another thing to consider. We have free will of choice, and we need to be consciously, it'd be like a codependence enabling relationship if our archangels just gave us all the answers left and right, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're here to cultivate trust. We're here to have free will of choice is really, I think, the biggest reason for that also a lot of times, right? Is that we're becoming and we're cultivating who we are and who we came to be. If they just gave us the blueprint for our purpose, well, and we weren't spiritually ready for it, it wouldn't do us any good. It'd be like reading a book outside of us. It's not even who we are. So we're becoming who we need to be. They're helping us become the energy and the vibration and the person and the consciousness and the awareness in order to fulfill out what it is we're asking for, or to feel worthy of what it is that we're wanting to receive. Right. And so it really is about guiding us on our spiritual path, but we always do have free will of choice. And we have to, most of the time, shift our energy to be in alignment with receiving the request of whatever it is we're asking, be it healing, be it increasing our income, a relationship that is balanced. You know, we have to become the person that actually is the vibrational match to it. And so oftentimes what they're doing is they're guiding us into that alignment. And then we have to choose to keep choosing to create that alignment for ourselves. And in the process of that, we've become the energetic match to whatever it is that we're wanting. Does that make sense? And so I think that's a big part of it. And a lot of it is that we do have free will of choice, right? And so at any given time, we can just say, I don't want to do the highest path. Nope. Right. Unlikely in this group. But sometimes we do stall ourselves out based on fear as well. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, I just want to pop in and share a bit with that. It's like a partnership. Absolutely. That's a beautiful way of saying it as well. So when it comes to the archangels, as many of you know, this is one of my favorite topics because they're always just so loving, and learning to communicate with them has changed my life. It's helped me to build confidence and trust in my intuition. It's helped me to manifest, endless amounts of miracle stories that I could share with you all, that you've probably heard a lot of them. And so I've created the Archangel Alignment Activation Series. And so this is, some of you, it might be brand new for you. Some of you have it. If you have it and you have an experience with it, share in the comments. It's always fun for other people to share in the comments. Actually, I saw a comment from Tammy today. It said, I highly recommend this workshop, Jen. I completed both of your SSU and Mastery, and I finished this attunement, this Angels attunement as well. And I love learning about the Archangels and attunements, above and beyond, very informative. Jen's attunements are the most energetically powerful I have experienced to date. Experiencing the Archangels is and always will be my most cherished experience. I have also completed all of the bonuses. They are amazing. The Metatron workshop is powerful, and I just repeated it for the third time. Anything Jen creates is stellar. Thank you. And I'm happy to have experienced a breakthrough with her. 10 out of 10. So that was but I just woke up to that testimonial about the Archangel series today. And what I love about what she said, I love everything about what she said, just because it's fun to see people take the information and run with it and just create. But at the same time, it's so empowering. I know that their life and their people in their lives and their children and family and friends is going to be changed as well when their life gets to be changed in this way. And one thing I loved is that she said she listened to one of the workshops for the third time. And that's really how this is designed. Each of the healing activations, I kind of got ahead of myself. I'll tell you about it in a second. But each one is designed for you to be able to use as a healing library at any time. So pretty much any topic you want. And it will always meet you where you're at. And it will help attune you to each of the angels. So how this Archangel Activation Workshop series is, there's 15 different Archangel modules. So basically, it's a training module. Do it yourself on your own pace. You get lifetime access. And there's a training module for 15 different Archangels. And there's a short video training. There's a worksheet with teaching you about their specialties. I think I even share about like gemstones and their colors, and a channeled message about them, so you can kind of get to know them. And then there is an attunement to the Archangel. I invite them in for you to start to recognize and work with them if you want to start to recognize and attune to their unique frequency, and then a healing based on their specialty. Right. So there's like a healing library that honestly, pretty much every topic I think you could use one of those for, because they all have different specialties. And so then you get this healing library of all these meditations, but then at the same time, you're learning how to work with them and communicate with them. And part of that is learning to recognize their energy, because if you don't recognize their energy, you're not going to get the messages, and you're going to think it's in your head, and you're not going to trust it, right? And so there's over 6 hours of content, of video trainings and meditations, and for a limited time, so for 1 week, and periodically, I like to put a sale on it. So for 1 week from now until the 19th of March. You're going to save $150. It's a 30% discount on the in full or payment plans. The regular price is $497, but we have it on sale for, I believe it is, what is it, $347 is what it comes down to. Yeah, so $347 in full or 3 payments of $133. And that way it becomes pretty easily accessible. And I didn't even talk about the bonuses. You get the communicate with your angels as a vibrational scale meditation, which is great. There is my expansion journey with Metatron, which is amazing. There's a light language transmission to align your body, mind, and soul and consciously create. I have 5 steps to conscious creation that you can integrate with the angels, which is super powerful. And there's a couple of extra meditations. There's one with Archangel Christiel, alignment activation to the frequency of that divine consciousness, the feminine aspect, I should say, of divine Christ consciousness, and also a soul balancing, like a chakra balancing activation. So it's packed. Like, honestly, this one is so packed when it comes to it. Sakura says, no joke, this course opens real doors. I was bogged down with outdated programming, and this Archangel course helped me make the woo-woo real. Whoop. I love it. She was early. I remember, right? You jumped right in right away and went full on with it, was having miracles. And I just been such a amazing journey to watch her continue to grow, and now I'll channel her own work, right? She's out there doing her work in the world, working, sharing her gifts, which is amazing. Hey, Terry, hey, Marilee. Let's see. I listened to what is open or over and over again. What is open over and over again? I may have to go back. Let's see. I had to travel an hour to a doctor and left earlier and got there within 5 minutes. All the patients had been early. I left the appointment early. Actually, appointment time, I knew I'd be fine. Beautiful. It's fun when you can like surrender, right? That's one thing that they do too, is they give such a great sense of peace. Like, you know, you're always supported. You know that you're always guided. There's a big peace in taking leaps of faith. There's a big peace in stepping into the unknown, right? Or to take a leap of faith into creating a life. Like, it was scary for me to switch businesses, right? I had a career, I had amazing clients, I made good money. I didn't, by the end of my career, I figured it out to not have to even work that many hours, and but it had that chapter had closed, and I was like, oh, it's scary to make that leap. But if I hadn't cultivated the day-to-day trust, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Right? I don't think so. So I think it was the fact that I built the trust with my angels and guides, honestly, and with my spiritual support team in general, that helped. And then trusting that I could get the answers 1 or 2 steps at a time allowed me to take leaps of faith that didn't make logical or even financial sense a lot of the times. So anyways, let me give that to you. So let's see here. Let me give you the link for that. If to check it out, you'll see there's a lot of more information about it. If you want to check out the program, it's a great value, honestly, for all that you get. It'll change. It's life-changing for people, and it starts to open the door for so many other things to continue. And it's such a great resource of healing, because we're always going to have times that we might need a little bit of healing support, even if you're pretty seasoned on your path. So let's see here. Let's see, imagine what our ancestors went through without the internet to connect with us, right? Oh my gosh, totally. Okay, everybody, any other questions? Let's see. I call the Archangels in like they are my friends. This series brought me so much enlightenment for self-use. Amazing. Also sharing my knowledge and relationships with the Archangels with others. And when I share in conversation, I can literally feel them patting my head or sending me tingles of love. I know, right? They are. They're always there. It's so fun. It really does help you. I mean, really exponentially. Right, in the big ways and the small ways. And sometimes it's the day-to-day stuff that creates the biggest stress. And really, the angels are, messengers of God, or you can say God, universe, whatever works for you, but they're messengers of God to really bring forth peace, love, and harmony for humans, right? And a lot of that is in our day-to-day stress. So don't hesitate to ask them for the little things. It's going to cultivate your trust muscle. It's going to cultivate your connection of intuition with them. And it's also going to just make your life so much happier, right? That piece about matching frequency of our angels and guidance, what's really stood out to you. Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. So thank you for the person that asked the question that started that conversation. All right. Well, that's what I have for you all today. I hope you have a great, wonderful, it's 11:44, right? And that fours are angels to me, and 1 is like alignment, right? So have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.